Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my Masterclass series number 9, where I'm covering the 5 best ways to increase your average bill. And today I'm partnering with Antony Whitaker from growmysalon.com. And I'm going to kick off and actually throw the challenge to him. What, in your view, Antony, are the 5 best ways to increase average bill?
Okay. Well, thank you, Simon. Thanks for having me back on. First thing is just to introduce that is to say that it's ultimately about genuinely caring about your client's needs and expectations. And that's the problem, is that hairdressers often think it's about, oh my God, I'm not a salesman. So if you care about the client in your chair, that is the mindset that you need to have. And so from there, what are the 5 things to increase your average bill? Color.
Can I just add in?
Yes.
Can I interject? I absolutely agree with what you've just said. But I also say it's also the mindset that a client is for life. And the client isn't just when she's sitting in the chair, but when she's at home as well. In other words, you've got to think in chair and salon quality hair at home. So for me, that's a really important topic, that you're embracing both worlds.
Totally. And, it's the bugbear of salon owners forever that their team won't retail and, or they won't recommend, they won't educate, they won't talk about it. And it is such a missed opportunity for salons everywhere. So, retail is one of the top 5 things to increase your average bill. And, it's not about selling. If you genuinely care about that person in your chair, you're going to educate them about what you've used on their hair. The end result is, and how they should use it at home, the end result is increased retail. So retail is one of them. The biggest one is color. That, and the color market has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. Now 90% of women, at least I imagine, do have color in their hair, which is fantastic. And so, that is the biggest average bill increase. So retail, color. The really low-hanging fruit, easy one is treatments. And treatments are important because A, they're easy, and B, in terms of cost of goods, it's the lowest one. So in terms of a percentage increase for time invested and money spent on purchasing the product, selling the treatment is probably dollar for dollar the most profitable. And then after that is salon tools. And again, educating clients about the salon tools that you have. Sure, you're not going to sell them every time, but they are a good way to increase average bill.
Fine. Do you know, it's interesting you say you believe it's 90%. Actually, believe it or not, it's closer to 60% of people, or just over 60%. So as you say, it varies by country, Antony, of course. But I absolutely agree. The opportunity to actually shall we say, offer color as a complementary service is one of the key drivers, in my view, in terms of the opportunity to increase the bill size. Why? Because for me, color and cut are absolutely in harmony together. They go together as one. And often color is the one driver that actually enhances, don't you think, the finished look. Number 2, I think treatment, as you said before, offering a treatment or a color gloss, at the beginning to just give extra shine, because at the end of the day, shiny hair is sexy hair. Totally agree with you. But, interestingly, the fact that you've just said salon tools, I'd never thought about that one. Actually, I'll be really honest with you. It doesn't spring to mind first time round. So what you're saying, offer the right brush or the right blow dryer or the right electrical or the right straightening iron and so on.
Totally. And educate the person in your chair how to use them, because that's often part of the problem, is that they have the wrong tools or they don't use them properly. So, as a salon owner, when I had my salons, we used to do an education class, 4 times a year, where we would invite clients in and ask them to bring their own blow dryer, their own brushes. And, we'd charge them a fee for it, but the $20, whatever it was redeemable against any product purchased on the night. So it was really $20 to make sure they turned up for it. And so it was a sort of a 1-to-1, we'd have 4 or 5 stylists on at a time. And, we'd probably have 20 clients in, and we would show each of them how to dry their hair at home. And predominantly, they had the wrong tools. They had wrong brushes, or they didn't know how to use them properly. And so they were always more than purchasing, significant amount of tools and styling product on those events.
Love it. I think that is really smart thinking, because I think at the end of the day, exactly, is if you can make the whole, shall we say, experience of having a haircut and be able to maintain it at home, shall we say, frictionless, seamless, the easier it becomes for the consumer to be able to maintain at home. Absolutely. The believability goes up. The loyalty to the stylist, loyalty to the salon increases. So I think the whole thing absolutely resonates with me. I think that's a very, very interesting, so we say, thought process behind it, because often it's not a consideration from the salon perspective. I mean, traditionally, even we as a manufacturer tend to think of, look, it's all about home retailing. It's all about aftercare at home. So it's taking the salon quality aspect through the door to their home environment. But often you forget that it's actually maintaining hair as well. It's not just washing, conditioning hair, looking after it. It's actually, as I said before, just recreating the look that we've created at home. So very smart.
And I know stylists now who they say to the client, while the client is in the chair, I'm going to show you how to dry your hair. And they say, so where's your iPhone? And the client brings out their iPhone. They pop a tripod in front of them. They put the client's iPhone on the tripod in front of them while they dry the hair. And so they're basically giving them a mini lesson. Now do this, put this product on, squirt it hair, comb it through, put it on with your fingers, whatever it is. And then this is how you dry it. So the client walks out the door with a 5-minute video of themselves on their own phone of, these are the products to use. This is how to use them. And so what you're doing is you're strengthening that relationship. You're strengthening that professional recommendation. And what's the chances that they're going to be playing that video at home while they're sat there doing their hair? Pretty damn good, to put it mildly.
Brilliant. I love that. That is absolutely so insightful. I think that is a winning way forward. Any other brilliant ideas from your side? I mean, take the consultation, the training on the consultation. I mean, for me, the secret, the heart of everything that goes on in the salon, in terms of winning the client's trust, being able to offer the right level of service, to deliver the right quality standard, starts with the consultation. When she sits in that chair or he sits in that chair, and that's the starting point to understand the client. So for me, actually, I think one of the big failures, sometimes the big failures, is people never seeing what lies underneath the gown.
Yeah.
I'm a great believer that the client should sit, first of all, in the chair without a gown. So you see them in their full glory, dare I say it, in the real context of the kind of lives they lead. But you see them for what they are. And then is to be able to really then focus on what they like and dislike about their features, about their hair, and what they want to get changed. So I think it's really about initially really doing a deep dive on the person. The focus is on the person. And then you bring your expertise to bear as part of that consultation process. That knowledge that you've gained. Yeah.
And at the beginning, that is something that you should be taught to do. And they are a series of steps. It's a process. But very quickly, that sort of just becomes part of who you are. And so, and I agree with what you said, they should always be sat down without a gown. So you can see whether they're, boho or whether they're Chanel. You need to understand the essence of that person that's there. And that almost becomes subliminal. Like, once you've done that a few times, it's like you're just taking in all this information about people because, the consultation is the gateway to everything. A good consultation will increase your chances of absolutely everything, whether we're talking retail, whether we're talking, salon tools, whether we're talking treatment, color, whatever. It's that first, 2 or 3 minutes. Consultations needn't go on for 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes they do with color clients, particularly color correction, etc. But the average consultation, 5 minutes, you can cover an awful lot of ground. But in that 5 minutes, what you're building up is that whole sort of know, like, and trust element. And once you've got that established, then everything else becomes so much easier. And, when we touch on the retail thing, it's just fundamental to what we do. And it drives me absolutely mad that hairdressers everywhere have a problem with it. And it's sort of like, I always say there are 3 reasons why you should retail. The first one is it's a service to your client, because we're fundamentally in the service industry. Yes, exactly. We like to think of ourselves as these great artists, etc. But hairdressing is also fundamentally a service industry, like the hospitality industry, etc. We want people to look and feel great. So we're there to serve them. Yeah. The second point about retail is that it's your job. It's just part of your job. Yeah. Would be like a waiter in a restaurant saying, "Oh, I'm not going to recommend wine, or I'm not going to offer dessert." It's just part of your job, And when hairdressers say, "Well, I didn't sign up for it; it's not my job," I always say to them, "Well, whose job is it? Is it really the job of the girl in boots, or the job of the girl in the supermarket to recommend to a client what they should be using, to care and style their hair?" Of course, it's our job. And the third thing, which is just fundamental to business, is that, yes, it happens to be a profit center. And so, those 3 things.
It's an opportunity.
Exactly. It's
a no-brainer. I know.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, and I think this is why so many, shall we say, there are so many new channels to market for retailing of product, because there is a frustration within the industry, certainly amongst some of the manufacturers, that the percentage of retail within the salon, what I call the sell-out, is actually quite low. Okay, it varies by country. America has a much higher percentage of growth than than Europe. But generally, as you say, retailing, in other words, the fundament for the hairdresser to see it as part of their natural daily routine is missing in a lot of cases. Yeah. And retailing is actually seen by some as a dirty word. Yeah. And I find that really, as you say, an anathema, that at the end of the day, it's like, as quite correctly you said, it's like not serving wine or not serving bread or not laying out the cutlery for you to eat your meal. I mean, it's part of the given process of delivery of excellent service as part of our industry. Yeah. And for me, all those small elements show that you're being truly professional in what you're doing. And I think, why does our industry sometimes suffer? And please, I'm not playing on the negatives, because we are an amazing industry overall. We offer an incredible service to our clients. But sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot by not offering the full range or exploiting the opportunity to be able to build and wow our clients even more. Yeah. It's a little bit like me. I mean, one of the topics I discuss a lot about is the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of young stylists don't push their clients to change. Of course, most clients don't want to change particularly, but if you're a good stylist, you will always push them. In other words, when they sit in that chair, you don't say, "Oh, Mrs. Smith, what are you going to have today?" In other words, placing the emphasis on them. Yeah. I always say to them, you need to challenge Mrs. Smith to say, "Mrs. Smith, your hair looks great, but I actually think you could look better." And then she might say, "Well, Simon, what do you mean by looking better?" And I would say, "I think you need to do this, 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 and this." She's always got control in the sense she can say, "No, that sounds very good, but I'm not willing to have that today." But the point I'm making is that it still keeps the loyalty to the salon. She thinks of you as someone that is an expert and someone she can trust in. Yeah. And I've heard too many stories of situations where the client is not pushed at all, sees her best friend with a brand new hairstyle and says, "Oh, best friend, where did you get it cut?" And she says, "Well, I got it cut in the local salon down the road." And before you know it, you've gone and followed her to the same salon because you say, "Wow, I love my best friend's haircut. My stylist isn't particularly interested in me because she never pushes me to change. I'm going to go and visit that salon." Yeah, and exactly. Before you know it, you've lost a client. So I think you're absolutely like retailing and like the consultation, it's our job to be able to push our clients and actually recommend what we consider to be best for them, because that enhances our professionalism as an industry and as an individual.
Exactly. And, there's often at different times a different cop-out for why hairdressers don't retail. And the current flavor of the month is that they buy it online now. And yes, people buy stuff online now, but, until all the shops in the high street have closed, or until all the shops in the mall have closed, people buy online, but they also buy in shops. And so using, the internet as a cop-out for why you don't recommend product is absolutely short-selling yourself, your professionalism, and the industry. Because at best, I would imagine that something like 20% of people at the moment purchase hair care online. Now, during COVID, maybe that had increased. In fact, I'm sure that had increased. But as a generalization, pre-COVID, I saw some statistics that said something like 16%, 16% of people buy home hair care online. Well, that's 16% more than what did 30 years ago. But it's still only 16%, which leaves another, 84% of people who are buying it in store. So instead of focusing on, the one client that you had last week who said, oh, I buy it online, it's cheaper, or whatever it is they say, then focus on the remaining 84%. Don't let that be your cop-out for why you don't do it, because you're short-selling yourself, the salon, and the industry, and not giving that client what they really need, because no one can, consult and recommend something as well as what the person who's done their hair can. So, yeah.
So your top tips, your takeouts are great. Focus on training up in terms of consultation, key.
Yeah.
Why? Because it takes you into the different dimensions. Focus on consultation, great consultation. Focus on treatments, care, shall we say, care for hair to begin with. Get the hair into great condition. Focus on adjacencies to the haircut, which is color, for example. So therefore, or perm or whatever it is, but focus on adjacencies to create, shall we say, a more resonating look. And then thirdly, focus on salon quality hair at home. So in other words, take home products are key to maintaining the quality of their hair in their home environment.
Yeah. And ultimately do it for the right reasons. And the right reason is not to get a certain average bill. The right reason is because you genuinely are a professional and you genuinely care about that client in your chair. And a high average bill is a result of
reflection. Love it, Antony. Genius. Thank you so much. That was really insightful, really inspiring. Love it, love it, love it.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.